Here's the hard truth. Nobody cares how long you've been in business. Nobody cares how many offices you've got. Nobody cares how great your technology is until they know you understand their problem. Too many sales presentations are nothing more than glorified company brochures. The best ones, they're customer conversations that build confidence, address needs, and move deals forward. In this episode, we're breaking down how to deliver sales presentations that actually engage customers and make it easy for them to say yes. Welcome to Sales Today, a podcast for sales pros who want to master the art of ethical customer-first selling. I'm Fred Copestake, sales trainer, consultant, and author of Selling Through Partnering Skills, Hybrid Selling, and Ethical Selling. Every week, we unpack practical sales strategies you can apply immediately to sell smarter, build trust faster, and close more business. So, a great presentation isn't about you. It's about the customer. When you focus on them, you build credibility, show understanding, demonstrate value, and create momentum that leads to decisions. Today we'll cover why most presentations fail, the 6-step structure that creates engagement, and how to deliver presentation that drive action, not eye rolls. So let's start with why most sales presentations fail. Too many start with about us slides, corporate mission statements, maps of the world, endless capability lists, logos. The customer tunes out because it's not their priority. Those presentations fail because they're too self-centered, they're full of technical detail, they don't address why the customer should care, and they lack clear steps. So think about this. Start where they are, not where you want them to be. When you focus on the customer's goals, challenges, what success looks like for them, everything changes. So I'm going to share a 6-part customer-focused presentation structure. And here's how it works. So the first part is the hook. Now this is about capturing attention fast. The first few moments determine whether they lean in or whether they check out. So good hooks can be built on a variety of things. Now it might be industry insight. Something like 65% of manufacturers report unplanned downtime as their top concern. What's that costing your team? It could be a more focused question on a particular pain point. If you could cut waste by 20%, what would that mean for your margins? It could be some customer data. One client reduced failures by 30%. Could that apply here? Interesting how I'm using questions, isn't it? Because questions make people think. But what's really happening is it's starting with them, not you. It's making it personal, it's making it relevant. And if you've got information already about them, which arguably you should if you're moving into presentation mode, then you can plug in that data, you can plug in that information. So absolutely it's going to hit the mark for them because it's about them. Because we can then move into the second part. And this is about their challenges. So we're going to frame the problem, their problem. We're going to make sure the customer sees the size, the scale, the urgency of the issue that they've got. So again, we could be saying something like, right now, manufacturers lose around £50,000 an hour from unplanned downtime. That's why many are shifting towards predictive analytics. So here we're using broad industry data, or ideally, as I've said, the notes from the discovery session, replaying their own words from those previous meetings. That's going to land better. It's what they've said. It's about their organization, their issues. And it's setting us up to go into part 3, which is showing the solution, how we would solve that. And this is not just a list of features. This is showing how we would fix their problem. So again, it might be words along the lines of our predictive maintenance system monitors equipment in real time. and reducing downtime by 40% and extending machine life by 30%. So here, if we're presenting live, we might be using visuals, so we make them nice and clear. We're trying to show before and after impact. And it's important also at this stage to avoid jargon, or more importantly, avoid your jargon, stuff that you might say in your own company. You can use words and industry jargon that they would use and they would recognize. And actually, that's probably quite a smart idea because it shows that you get them, you're part of that world. But if it's your own words that are going to confuse them because it doesn't mean anything to them, that's something we should be steering away from. So once we put the solution in place, we can now start to move on to part 4, which is about what benefits they can get. So this is focusing on business outcomes, their business outcomes. So it could be around cost savings, efficiency, competitive advantage. For instance, cost savings. So this is going to save you £500,000 annually by reducing that downtime. Efficiency, we could be increasing that output that you're making by 25%. Competitive advantage, we could gain 15% production efficiency over your rivals. Now, the trick here is to link all those benefits back to their KPIs. So the people you're speaking to, what are they being measured on? That's what they're going to be interested in trying to achieve. So we can understand that by understanding the type of customer, understanding the persona, typically what people in that role would be trying to achieve, or by talking to them, asking them, knowing what it is that they're being measured on. And of course, that latter version is going to be far more effective. And it's now that we can move into the 5th part, which is proof. So this is showing our real world success because people are going to want evidence. So if we can call out where we've done this before, I'll put real life facts and figures in, this is going to help it land home. I might say something like XYZ Manufacturing, they cut costs by 22%, increased production by 18% after implementing our system. So essentially, this is a brief case study, but we're making sure that it is relevant. It's not just something we want to say, stuff we like saying about ourselves, and being very careful about talking about the results rather than going into great detail about what it is we did and why we're so superb and why we're so fantastic. Remember, it's all about the customer. So yeah, case studies, before and after metrics, quotes. If you've got a quote, if a customer has said something, if they're happy, absolutely play that one back. Drop the names in. So it takes us into the 6th step, which is all about the next steps. So this is about action, not ambiguity. Yeah, so laying out what is going to happen. So let's schedule a site walkthrough next week. Let's book a pilot program kick-off for next Thursday. Let's meet with the engineering team to map the feasibility. Trick here, again, always propose something that's specific. Put some time on that, so that next action is concrete. And we can agree, or if it's disagree, we can work out what the next thing would be. So there we've got 6 steps. What can we do to really bring this alive? And I'm just going to share a couple of tips. There's lots and lots of ways which we can really elevate the presentation. Whole courses, whole kind of programs on this. But a couple of things that you can do so you're not relying purely on structure and that you can bring yourself into it and get your delivery right. And this is to personalize everything. Yeah, make it all about them. Make it so clear that this has been written and is being delivered specifically for that particular customer, that opportunity. If you're using visual aids, using slides, make them simple, make them clear, make them clean. Yeah, they're to help the presentation. They're not your crutch. They're not your notes. Different place to put those. This is so that it becomes part and parcel of the presentation to help with understanding. And use questions. Use questions during the presentation. Ideally, open questions, getting variable answers back. What, why, when, where, who, how. So it becomes a little bit more of a conversation than pure giving of information. And check understanding at each stage. Don't go barreling on. Don't be doing the stuff that you've got planned just because you've got planned if it doesn't make sense to move on. People haven't really got it if they don't agree, if it doesn't make sense to them. And so then we need to be flexible. Because based on that reaction, it might be that we have to do something a little bit different. They might throw up another need, another pain, another opportunity. And it might make more sense to actually explore that rather than carry on in transmit mode. So flexibility within the presentation will always make it better. Couple of little don'ts. Don't read slides word for word. I've said already, they're there to help the audience. They're not your crutch. They're not your notes. Don't overload with technical spec. Now, this can be very tempting, particularly if you're living in an engineering world or you are an engineer, because you might think, well, yeah, they're going to need all this stuff. They want to know all about it. They might not. Now, if you're absolutely certain that they do, 100% certain, then yeah. But the more of that you put in place, the more it becomes about you, the less it becomes about the solution and how you're solving the problem. So be very careful on that overload. And don't assume that just showing everything builds trust, telling them every single thing about the organization, every bit of product that you've got, all the ways in which you do different things. Again, that overload of information, yeah, that can become overwhelming. So be careful, tailor it. Say the stuff that actually matters. Not sure it's Winston Churchill, Mark Twain, or some other clever guy answered the question to why did you write me such a long letter with because I didn't have time to write you a short one. And that kind of applies here that we're trying to invest our time and effort into making it short and punchy and relevant to what somebody needs to hear. So now think about it like this, that it is, I've said it already, it's like a conversation with a structure to it. It's not a lecture, not a one-sided uh, passing over of information. So bit of time for reflection here. If I read your slides for a presentation without you in the room, would it sell? Now, if not, your presentation probably needs simplifying and focusing in on their world. Because I should be able to look and understand from those what their problem is, what you're going to do about that, and how that's going to be implemented, and why it makes sense for them to do it. There is a slight proviso on this. If the slides are pure pictures, so you're just using them for visual stimulation and you're going to be the star and you're going to explain this stuff with your words, then that's okay. But otherwise, if it's a whole bunch of stuff which looks very generic and very general, and it's not about a specific opportunity, specific customer, then I think you need to be careful with that. They need to be reviewed. So let's recap. So today we've covered why customer-focused presentations drive stronger engagement. We've looked at the six-part structure of hook, challenges, solution, benefits, proof, and next steps. And we've just looked at a couple of simple delivery tips, do's and don'ts, that are going to keep the audience engaged and wanting to move forward. So, on these podcasts, what we're doing is giving a little action step, something that you can do as a result of what you've just been listening to make a difference and actually change how you sell. So, your challenge, the thing to do here is take an upcoming presentation and redesign it using that structure we've been talking about. Strip out the about us, or at the very least, move it to the end. That's where it belongs. Start with them. Make it all about them. Make it absolutely clear it is their presentation. And just watch how much better your conversation flows. If this episode has helped sharpen your thinking, subscribe, share it. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let me know that you've heard this particular one. You could go into the show notes. There's a scorecard which will open up your thinking to some other things which will help you sales. In the meantime, I'm Fred Copestake. This is Sales Today. Until next time, present to serve, present to solve, and keep selling the right way.